Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to another Wild Rift video. And in today's video, I'll be talking about advanced mistakes that I see a lot of high ELO players make, that are holding them back from ranking up. This video is not meant for beginners or very low ELO players. If you want a video for that, make sure to check out Pro Guides. They have great videos for low ELO players. This video is, I would say, for at least high gold or platinum players. I'm going to be talking about advanced mistakes that people make. Okay, let's get into the video. So I'm going to be talking about this one first, because this one happens in every game, which is overestimating dragons. Yes. Overestimating dragons. Guys, this happens every game. So what do I mean with overestimating dragons? What I mean with this is forcing a 5 versus 5 fight while you're losing the game just because you want to get the dragon. Okay? So let me give you a scenario. Let's say you're playing against a Lee Sin and other early game champions, and your team has Amumu and whatever bad early game champions, and you're already 0-2 in the game. Don't go for the dragon. Like the enemy, give the dragon for free. But what you should do instead is look at what you can do on the other sides of the map. Try to push the Baron lane turret, try to push mid lane, try to steal enemy jungle farm, try to take Rift Herald. Things like this is what you have to do instead. Don't force a 5 versus 5 in a losing position, because you're probably gonna die and lose the dragon. So you could much rather just lose the dragon and maybe deny CS from the enemies or deal damage to their turrets. Do you get my point here, guys? This happens in every game. So the way that you can, understand when you should not engage in dragon is look at your composition. And now we're gonna get onto the second mistake that I see a lot of people make, which is not playing their team comp or champions to their powers. So let me give you an example. So Twisted Faith is a champion that can stun enemies and catch out enemies very easily. However, he is very weak in a 5 versus 5 team. Well, not very weak, but he's weak in a 5 versus 5 team fight because he doesn't provide a lot of sustained damage. So, when you're playing Twisted Faith, a big mistake is to not try to gank lanes, not try to catch out enemies, and just go for fights. Understand your champion and play this champion to its powers. Don't play your champion to his weakness. By the way, I'm gonna put links in the description to other videos where I give a full macro guide and a full guide on how I reach Challenger with tips and tricks on micro and macro. So if you want tips and tricks, make sure to check out those videos after this one. Okay, the next mistake is about teleporting. Let me talk about teleporting. So this one is going to be a mistake that is very hard to learn to not make. Very, very hard. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're playing Nasus, and Nasus is the prime example for this mistake. And you're under your turret, and there is like 15 enemy minions that are going to crash onto your turret. And we're at minute 2. And you are at 30% HP, and the enemy Lee Sin, you don't know where he is. I really want you to pay attention to what I'm saying here. So the enemy Lee Sin is obviously gonna try to gank you. What should you do? Should you stay under your turret and risk it because you don't want to lose the 15 minions? Or do you backport? Of course you backport. And the thing is, sometimes you have to take an L. You have to take an L. You're gonna lose like 4 or 5 minions. It's better than dying and still losing the minions. Do you get my point here, guys? So when you're playing in your lane and you're very low and you see a huge enemy minion wave, sometimes it's just better to back off, especially if you don't know where the enemy jungler is. Because if you get ganked and you die, your lane is over. Because not only you lose all the farm, you also give the enemies a kill, right? Do you see my point here? So this is a huge mistake, and I really want you guys to, take the L sometimes. Okay, the other mistake is not backporting when you have to. Wait, what did I say? Oh, backporting when you don't have to. Yes, sorry. So what I also see happen a lot is people they're backporting just to get their item before the first dragon. Of course, this can be okay, but it's not always good. Let me give you an example. Let's say the enemy team has 5 people at the dragon, but they're a little low, and your team kind of wants to take a 5 versus 5, but you're playing Jinx and you really want to get your Blade of the Rune King, and you go back. What do you do in a scenario like that? You leave your team alone in a 4 versus 5. Sometimes it's just better to stay with your items and not backport, guys. Another example. Let's say you're in the late game and you have killed one of the enemy champions. It's 5 versus 4, but you can get your Guardian Angel. Don't get your guardian angel, force a baron or a dragon when you have a 5 versus 4, you know? Sometimes, as I said, it's not good to back off. It's true that if you have gold in your pocket, it's useless because, you know, like as you can see here, I have 900 gold, I can backport for my Yuma's Ghostblade, but I have to be careful because the dragon is up. Like if all the enemies are near the dragon, I cannot backport. But if they aren't, I can. So let's take a look at this. Like my team is doing the dragon, I am backporting. Like what is this? This is not good. Look. Like, I'm talking about it right now and I made the mistake myself. I just made the well, not only me, but my team as well. You know, they did the dragon while I didn't have my item. But okay, let's talk about the next mistake, which is wave management. I'm not going to explain to you how you should manage waves. I'm just going to explain to you common mistakes. So, a mistake is not understanding the risk of freezing, for example, or pushing out your wave. So the risk of freezing the lane is, of course, you know, the enemy wave is going to be big and your wave is small. If you get ganked, the enemy can potentially get your turret and you're going to lose a lot of farm. You know, I explained it early on in this video. Another risk, which you might not understand, is if you push out your wave, the enemy can freeze it. You know, if the enemy can make it to the wave, they can actually freeze it and then you're going to lose a lot of farm. Okay? Another mistake is not pushing out your wave before you backport. Let me explain. So when you're playing in the Baron lane, for example, or mid lane, or any lane, pretty much any lane, when you want to backport, what you often want to do is push out the wave, you know, push it under the enemy turret and then go back. There are several reasons for that, because first of all, you're going to deny enemy farm. Secondly, you're going to buy a lot of time for you. So when I see people just backport without pushing out their wave, they're not only, well, they're just, you can make the enemy lose gold and you're not doing it. Why? You can just deny the enemy gold for free. This is a big mistake that I see so many people make. Okay, so another mistake that I see a lot of people have is having the wrong settings. You know, what I mean with that is like portrait lock, you know, map panning. There's a lot of things in the settings that can make you way better than you are already. I'm not going to explain what it is. I have a video in the description that shows you exactly what settings you need to use. Make sure to check out after this video if you haven't really adjusted your settings yet. Okay, another mistake is blaming teammates. This might sound like a noob mistake, but let me elaborate on it. So you should never try to blame your teammates. Of course, I still blame my teammates almost every game. It's a mistake that I make too. Let me explain why this is actually a huge mistake. So when you blame teammates, like let's say this is 100% of your energy and 100% of your brain. If you use 20% to blame your teammates and to type in the chat to blame them and cry in the chat, what is going to happen? You're going to become 20% worse because you can't focus fully on the game. And it's not only this, it's also going to get you tilted. What you always have to do in every single game is avoid this and just focus on yourself. This, you know, this is like the general pro guides tip, but really guys, really, this is so important. Like I've changed this thing about myself too. I try to not blame my team. I just focus on myself and try to see. The thing is with this is you'll be able to find win conditions more easily if you do this. If you just focus and think, how can I win this game? How can I win this game? What do I need to do? Instead of, oh my god, Evelyn missed the smite. Oh my god, he just died again. Really, blah, blah. Do you see my point here, guys? This is a huge mistake. You really, like, don't do this, okay? Another mistake, very important, chasing too far. Oh my god, I hate this mistake so much, and it even happened earlier on in this game. Do you guys remember when me and the Evelyn dived the enemy in the top lane and then the Kai'Sa typed ... in the chat? That was chasing too far. So let me explain scenarios where you can chase too far. First scenario is if you're doing a level 1 invade and you've killed 2 enemies. And you know, you try to take the enemy jungle, you got the red buff, but you stay and want to kill even more enemies. Even though you may think it's a 3 versus 1, because you've already killed 2 enemies, it's not. Because the enemies are going to respawn very fast, because it's early game. Then you have chased too far, because if they respawn, they're going to be full HP, and you're going to be at a disadvantage. Another example of chasing too far. When you're for example, the dragon is up, and you and your teammates have killed the enemy Evelyn jungle. And you chase the enemies and you want to get more and more kills. This is a mistake. This is a mistake. Unless you can ace the enemy very easily, this is a huge mistake. Because first of all, you're giving the Evelyn time to respawn. And secondly, you know, you're going to chase the enemies under their turrets. This is such a disadvantage for your team. And when you're chasing down the enemies, as I said, the Evelyn can respawn and your teammates are gonna get low and you just wasted a free dragon. This is so terrible. Just get the dragon or Baron or Rift Herald or whatever, you know. Stop chasing too far like an idiot. This is such a big mistake. Stop. The next mistake is not understanding macro play. You know, not understanding when you can not understanding that you can split push, not understanding how to win how to win matchups, not understanding when to push your lane. I'm not gonna explain to you how you should do all this. Again, I have videos in the description, 2 amazing videos where I like a full videos explaining to you how you can improve your macro game. Make sure to check it out so you don't make the mistakes. Like, I'm not gonna talk about those mistakes now because I do it in those videos already. Okay, the next mistake is not choosing the right runes. Yes, that's right, runes. Let me explain. So I'm gonna give you an example right now. So let's say you're playing Camille, you know, Camille in the Baron lane, and you're against an Akali. You really have to go for fleet footwork against the Akali because you're gonna get demolished in your lane. However, if you're against a Darius, for example, going fleet footwork is kind of a waste because you're gonna waste your damage because Conqueror is gonna give you a lot of damage. Do you see my point here? Like, sometimes you have to go for fleet footwork, sometimes you have to go for Conqueror. And also another example, you know, when you're playing Orianna, for example, sometimes it can be good to go for Electrocute, you know, to do burst damage in the lane. But it's often gonna be better to go for Conqueror. See, you can go for different runes. There's not gonna be one set of runes that's always good. Another example, I'm gonna give you more examples about the runes. Spirit Walker. Spirit Walker is really good for slow resistance. Like, why would you go for Spirit Walker if the enemy doesn't have a single slow? See? So when you try to get your runes, really look at the enemy composition and see what you need. Do you really need Conqueror? Do you really need Spirit Walker? Can you go for Champion rune this game? Or do you want to go for Gathering Storm because you know you want to skill into the late game? These are all the things that you really have to consider. I also have a video on runes, by the way. You can look up HellsDevil runes. You know, HellsDevil runes explained, and you know, I'll explain all the runes to you and when to use which rune. Another mistake that I see a lot of people make, always going with the recommended build. And this happens in high elo too. This is such a big mistake because in every game you have to itemize properly. Again, I have another video on itemization. I'll try to link it in the description if I don't forget, where I explain every single item and when you should go for it and how to build it on what champion. It's just crucial to itemize correctly, and if you don't itemize correctly, it's just, you know, it's a waste of potential. It's really waste of potential. Let's talk about another mistake, which is playing too passively. I'm gonna take Zed as an example here. Zed is not amazing late game. Zed is an early game champion. So, well, not early game, Zed is kind of a mid game champion. So the way that you have to play Zed is you have to rotate to lanes and gank. Use your ultimate to assassinate enemies. If you play Zed passively, you know, if you just play passively and relax and just, you know, farm for the late game, you're gonna lose. Because the enemy is gonna skill up, do huge damage, and your team fight presence is garbage. So play aggressive when you have an aggressive champion. You know, like as I said, if your champion is aggressive, play aggressive. Don't play passive. It's a waste and it's a huge mistake. Okay, so what was I talking about next? Yes, another mistake is not practicing combinations on your champion and not practicing flash combos on your champions. These are micro things, and you really like, before you play a champion, if you really want to increase your win chances by a lot, is practice the combinations. You know, like when you're playing Camille, for example, really like go into practice mode and practice everything. Practice the hook shot, practice the flash combos, practice everything. This is really gonna make your game so much better, especially if you, like, you know, if you want to trick a champion, you really have to fully understand how he works. And you know, instead of practicing in a ranked match, practice it in a practice match and then in a normal game to really understand your champion and increase your chances of winning. Okay, another mistake that I see people make, which is when they're super fed. You know, when you're super fed in the game, what was I gonna say? Like when you're super fed in a game, you have like 10 kills and you play super aggressive and die. Even if you get 3 kills for your death, it's likely not gonna be worth it because your shutdown is going to be like 1k gold. And if you give the enemy ADC or mid laner the shutdown, they can actually come back in the game. Do you see my point here, guys? When you are fed in the game, you have to be extra careful with your gameplay. Extra careful. You really don't want to give a kill to the enemy ADC or mid laner or whatever, you know? I'm not saying that you need to play passive, of course. I'm just trying to tell you that you shouldn't think that the game is over already. Because it's not. It's really not. It only takes one death of you to make the enemies, to allow the enemies to come back. Because if an enemy gets 1.5 thousand gold from one kill, they can just make a comeback. Because it's like half an item. It's literally half an item that they get. So always pay attention to your gold bounty and to how much you are really worth. Because if you don't, you can give the enemies free kills and then they can actually come back into the game. I am guilty of this one too, like when I'm 8-0 or something, I just kill myself to the enemy Jinx. It's terrible. It's really, really terrible, and you really don't want to be doing this. Okay, so wow, I talked a lot. Like, I'm trying to think of other advanced mistakes. I don't want to give you beginner mistakes. I just want to give you advanced mistakes. Oh, by the way, if you have mistakes as well, put them in the comments so other people can read them too. Also, I'm doing a skin giveaway, giving away 15 skins. It's a bit late in the video, but whatever. All you gotta do is put down a comment under the video. Also, give the video a like, guys. It really supports the channel. I really hope this video was helpful. I really hope this video was good for you. Let's take a look at this game. Actually, unfortunately, I got SVP Z with a lot of damage, but it's okay. So, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. As I said, there's a lot of videos in the description that can help you out further. So yeah, I will see you all in the next Wilders video. Bye bye.